Ta-da! In this live stream today, we're going to be talking about, is God real? Proof of God, any God. And we're going to listen to Mr. John Lennox. So if you give me just 1 minute, I'll make sure that the live stream is good. I have to do some any God quick checks. And we're gonna listen. Okay. And I just have to check on the second stream. Just to let you know, I'm streaming on two different versions, on horizontal and on vertical. So I'm just gonna open real quick another window, make sure that both streams are good. Okay. Leave it like this. What a big mess. You can tell that I'm not very good at this. But hey, we are doing something. I think that's the most important thing. So let me check real quick on the vertical stream. Make sure it's good. I'm gonna do that real quick here. Live on the vertical. Here we go. It's connecting. Perfect. Beautiful. I think we should be good. Okay, so I just moved this down a little bit just so I can see. I'm just fixing the windows just so I can see if someone writes a message on the chat. I think it goes like this. There you go. So I think we're good. I gotta keep working on these live streams because just when I think I'm ready and everything is good and up and running and the audio is good and the video is good, then something is not good. Okay, so proof of God, any God. Is God real? That is the question. That is the question I have. I think it's not to prove you wrong that there's no God. I wish that there's something out there, someone out there like taking care of us when we are no longer here. It doesn't feel too good knowing that there's nothing after life, no one waiting for us with open arms, ready to love us. It's not good. It's not good. It's nothing to celebrate. I do not celebrate being a doubter that any God exists. So in a way, I make these live streams not to prove anybody wrong, just to prove someone wrong. But I'm a person that like to understand things, and if someone tells me, "Hey, God is real," I'm gonna ask you, "How do you know?" Because I don't see it. Neither your God or your friend's God or your neighbor's God, because people believe in different gods. Someone is gonna tell you, "Hey, I don't think your God is good. I think your God is mean. My God is the real God, and He's the good God and the only God, because your God is not good. Your God is fake." Oh man, I have spent so much time listening to debates, and just to try to learn something. Maybe someone says something that I could learn. Nothing, nothing. Just mainly people um, having a debate to see which God is better. But if you are joining this live stream, I like to have a conversation with anybody that can provide me, not with proof, not with evidence. I don't like to speak in those terms. If you can tell me something that would lead me to a God, again, because it feels very lonely here. It feels very lonely, to be honest with myself, and tell myself, "Javier, I think you don't see any God anywhere." I don't see it. I'm not a person of, I know some people say, "Javier, maybe you lack faith in God, or you are upset at God. You have something, are you upset with God?" No, let's not play those games. I think we're adults, not upset at God. I don't see it. When someone tells me, "But I have a personal relationship with God," I always understand that what the person is saying is, "Hey, I believe in this God that is mentioned in this particular book." That's what mainly people express, but they're not going to say it right with those words. "I believe in the God of this book," because it's just a belief. Like I mentioned on my videos, lots of my videos, no amount of believing is going to make your God real. There's no connection between believing and making the God real. You can have the belief, strong belief as a mountain. That belief is not going to make the God real. There's a big, humongous gap between your belief and really there being a God. So, I'm gonna put a video of Jesus PT. How you doing? Welcome to my live stream. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer, or if you have a comment, I'll be happy to provide you with my honest opinion. So let me show you a little bit of, if you don't know who John Lennox is, this is a person, a very kind, loving guy that has been talking about there's plenty of evidence for God. And I have listened to countless hours from John Lennox. Supposed to be a brilliant mind, very intelligent. And every time he says that there's plenty of evidence for God, coincidentally, he never provides evidence. So if you're a believer in a God, in any God, probably you will understand, or maybe you will relate to what Mr. John Lennox refers to when he says that he believes in the real God, which I never understand, because let's listen to him for a little bit. Again, if someone is in the live stream and want to ask any questions, I'll be happy to respond. Or if you want to make a comment, that's fine with me. So let's listen to John Lennox for a little bit.
The mistake that's made, and Richard Dawkins pushed this, is that God and science compete as explanations. So you have to choose between them. And Hawking pushes that even further, and I could never understand that. Why do you offer people a choice? You either believe in God or science, but not both. And
okay,
then
let's stop right there. If you are listening to what Mr. John Lennox is saying, let's listen again to what he says.
You either believe in God or science, but not both.
You either believe in God or science, but not both. So I find it interesting that he is referring not to God. He is referring to the belief in a God. I think this is so important when you believe in any particular God. Just there, what he says, you either believe in God or you believe in science, but you cannot believe in both. But he's referring to the same thing, a belief. A belief in a God is not a God. No amount of belief in any particular God makes the God real. I think this is one concept or one reality that Mr. John Lennox probably very respectfully, because this is a very nice gentleman, he do not understand that concept. No amount of belief is going to make the God real. Let's continue listening with an honest ear, honest mind, and honest heart.
And then it occurred to me that they're making two profound mistakes. The first one is that they've got the wrong concept of God.
Okay, I think this is hilarious. We're talking to the most powerful being in the entire universe. How can you get it wrong? If you get it wrong, maybe it's because you're not seeing the God. How can you get wrong the God of the Bible? How is that possible? We're not talking about the guy that sells hot dogs in the corner. We're not talking about the lady that sells empanadas in, I don't know, in the store or whatever. We're talking about the most powerful, the Alpha, the Omega, the know-it-all, is everywhere, omnipotent, potent. I can never say that. How can you get it wrong? If you are believing in any particular God and you get it wrong, that is tough. Because if you get it wrong, probably you're going to end up in hell. That's not fair. You did your best to try to understand it, but how can you understand a God that you don't see? You talk to him, but he doesn't respond back. Everybody tells you that there's plenty of evidence. He's everywhere, but you don't see him anywhere. John Lennox says he's right there. He's everywhere. And you're like, where? Where? Where is God? He's right there. No. Maybe that's why people have a hard time understanding any God. You have two believers that believe different ways about the same God. How is that possible? Someone is lucky, some other person is not. This one person was born in the United States, mainly Christianity. The other was born in, I don't know, Indonesia or some other country. They're not going to approach the same God the same way. Different cultures.
Now, that didn't strike me for many years. You see, when I was young, which is a very long time ago, and I used the word God in public in Ireland, everybody knew I was talking about the creator God of the Bible who sustains the universe, but not now.
God of the Bible that sustains the universe. Again, that is Mr. John Lennox's belief. He believes that. There's absolutely no proof of that. Nowhere. Anywhere. But he likes to say that a lot.
People like Stephen Hawking, when I use the word God, they think of something like a Greek deity or Zeus or something like this. And they automatically assume that you're thinking of a god of the gaps. I can't explain lightning, so I invent a god. When you do some atmospheric physics, that god disappears.
This is very important, what he's saying right there. You don't understand lightning, you create a god that throws lightning bolts. Doesn't everybody do the same thing? You don't understand life, you don't understand creation, so you create a god? I think he's saying right there what he is doing. You don't understand life, you don't understand creation, you don't understand where the universe come from, so it had to be the God of the Bible, the creator of the universe. Why? Because we have no other better explanation. That's not a very scientific approach. That sounds more like your belief. Some people call it wishful thinking.
And the most important thing to realize, that the God of the Bible is not a God of the gaps.
Okay, John Lennox keeps referring to the God of the Bible. Isn't that interesting? The God mentioned in the book is real because the book says so. But everything has to do with the book. The God of the book, the God of the Bible. Everything he refers to is to a belief and what a book says. He's not talking about any real God. He's talking about his thoughts. He's talking about his beliefs. He's talking about his feelings. He never talks about a real God. Why? Because the believing in gods has nothing to do with believing in gods and has everything to do with your feelings. Like I say, no feel, no God. You don't feel the God doesn't exist for you or is irrelevant for you. Some people get really uncomfortable when I say this thing. They don't like to hear it. What? So you're implying that I believe in my God and Savior just because it feels good to me? Absolutely. If it didn't feel good to you, you would not believe. Why? Don't tell anyone, okay? But if you're a believer, you are after the feelings of believing in a God, not the God. You're not interested in the God, because if the God doesn't make you feel good, you will shop around for another God. That's why people switch religions. Some people say, I used to be a Muslim, now I'm a Christian. You ask the person, why did you make the switch? Now Allah is not longer a God. You found another God. They say, no, it's just that I read the Quran and I didn't like some stuff, and this God I find out is very violent. But Allah is still Allah. Why did you switch? You have no respect for that other God? No. It's because the person doesn't feel for that God anymore. Someone said, look, the Christian God, this is a very powerful God, and he does favors for me when I pray for him, to him. And this God promised for you when you die to be there and to hug you, to love you. So maybe you drop that God and join this God, and the person goes like, "Oh, that sounds good. I believe in your God." Because it's about your feelings. You don't feel the God is no longer relevant for you. If by any chance you suffer an accident or you take a pill that cuts the signals from your chemical part in your body and you no longer feel anything, you don't feel good, you don't feel bad, you don't feel anything, God comes down, stands in front of you, and you will not care anything because you have no feelings. You don't relate to whoever is standing in front of you.
I don't know whether you've ever noticed the first sentence in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the bits of the universe we don't yet understand. No? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and that linguistically is a merism. It means everything. The bits we do understand and the bits we don't understand. Now, come back to Newton. Why did he write in the preface to Principia Mathematica, the most famous book in the history of science?
You know, I have listened to quite a few hours to Mr. John Lennox talk. And one thing that I notice in common in all his presentations, that you will get bored. It will be very hard to keep track of everything he talks about. One of the things that you're going to find out when you see presentations of Mr. John Lennox is that he will introduce embedded commands, which I call embedded commands, to his presentation. You have to be very, very concentrated and aware to what he's doing, just to convince the listener that the God that he believes in is real. So, listening to John Lennox, most likely you're gonna probably lose the meaning of the talk that he's talking about. It's really hard because he tells stories, he talks about this and switch to this and make jokes. And at the end, when you finish to listen to the 2-hour presentation, you're like, well, I didn't learn anything, nothing. I have listened with an honest heart, sit down and listen to what he said, because he says, hey, there's plenty of evidence for a God and I want to hear the evidence. I get excited sometimes. No evidence. It's just somehow preaching about his particular God.
I hope this book persuades thinking people to believe in a deity, because the more he understood of how it worked, the more he admired the genius of the God that did it that way. That's the way your mind works. If you studied engineering, you can understand a turbofan jet much better than I can. If you understand art, you can follow the details of a Rembrandt painting.
That's one other thing that you're going to listen a lot from John Lennox. He tries to come up with examples to try to get you to think that, like, you see, because of this, God is real, you see? Because there's no way to explain this, God has to be this. Or there was a very genius guy that one time said something about God, and you see, he's a genius. He thinks that the God is real, so therefore God is real. He will do these things a lot. Come up with stories and examples and stuff that what he's trying to basically to imply is that, you see, my God from my book is real.
Better than I can. The more you understand, the more you admire the genius. And that is just so important. So Newton's faith, and my faith indeed, in God increases because the heavens are constantly and increasingly in detail declaring his glory. That's actually the way it works.
You know, just listen. A mathematician, a professor, saying what he just said right there, the glory of God is expanding, or I don't know, growing bigger. And you can tell that he's somehow preaching. Sometimes I feel like, wow, I shouldn't waste my time, continue listening to him, but hoping to hear something that will be of my interest, but it never happens. If you're a person that likes to listen to John Lennox, please take me to a video or a presentation that he does that provides any evidence for any God, or not even evidence, just maybe he's saying something that is of value for anyone that could be a little bit convinced that there is a God. Oh, shoot. Okay. Give me just 1 second. ¿Aló? ¿Está afuera?
Sí.
Voy. Whoa, someone knocking on my door while I'm live streaming. That's not good. Hello? Yes. As I was saying, Mr. Professor John Lennox, providing evidence for a God. Man, I don't know what happened to the camera. Hopefully, you are continuing to see me on the live stream. Hopefully. I can see myself, but there's some lag on the video. Anyways, if you have any questions, you'd like to have a conversation about God, your God, any God, proof of God, evidence of God, or just a tiny bit of information that can guide me to a God, because I really would like to believe in a God. But maybe not a violent God, okay? Please. The God that preferably that doesn't like sacrifices, just my preference. Just a personal preference, Maybe if you can give me indications where I can find a God that is doesn't get offended very easily. Maybe if you can direct me to a God that doesn't choose to do acts of violence to try to convince humans to do something, I'll appreciate it. Maybe if you can guide me to a God that doesn't try to manipulate people's emotions with fear and love, I'll appreciate it. If you can guide me to a God that is really, really unconditionally love humans. Please don't guide me to a God that is very conditional, even when people call him unconditional love. I don't like that. I don't like to play in those games. Also, if you can guide me to a God that doesn't create special places for torture. It's just a personal preference. What else? If you can give me a piece of information, maybe for a God that doesn't have to, maybe a responsible God, not an irresponsible God. Please guide me to a God that doesn't blame his creation for the flaws of his creation. I'll appreciate it. Again, it's a personal preference. I don't like violence, you know. I don't like games. Maybe to guide me to a God that doesn't play this salvation game. I don't like it either. I don't like play games. Not with myself, not even with my family. I don't like it. That's why I don't believe in the God of the Bible. I think it's all made up. I don't believe in any God in particular. But I have an open mind. That's why I say I'm not an atheist. I say I'm a doubter. I doubt about your God. I don't think it's real. Never seen him. Never heard him. You're just referring to your belief, not to a God. I find it interesting that when I ask someone to please guide me to their God, they refer to their feelings, not to a God. They point like, well, the God is because I believe that the God, there's plenty of evidence because I believe that there's plenty of evidence. But okay, I think by now I understand that you're talking about your beliefs, but I don't want to know about your beliefs. Tell me, point me to where the God is, because I want to meet the God. So the God is not here. You're only going to meet him after we die. That sucks, man. Because then I cannot analyze it. Oh, I have to go by faith. I'm sorry, I don't play the faith game because I like to preferably have some kind of evidence, proof that how something works, you know. If God is real, he gave me this mind. It's a very, very analytical mind. Please don't blame me if I ask questions about your God and your beliefs. John Lennox. If you know John Lennox, wow, he's very old right now. Again, I don't have anything against him personally or in any way. I just think that him expressing his feelings about a particular God probably confuses many people about their beliefs and their feelings. Why do I tell you this? If anybody tells you that you have to follow a God in order to live a better life, in the example of Christianity, when someone tells you how to follow Jesus, what Jesus will do, I think in a way you're asking me for too much. Follow someone that I have never met. You're asking me to follow someone that I didn't even know if he's real or not. Even if Jesus was real and he lived, how do we know that he was the Son of God? So why would you ask me to follow him? Why would you believe that? Just by faith? I don't work like that. Sorry. It's just a personal preference. Probably I'm going to deserve hell just because I'm analytical and I like to understand things. Sometimes I think that hell is full of analytical people. Good people, analytical people, but they couldn't believe. So that's why I say on my videos, I think hell is full of good people. And heaven is full of bad people. Why do I say that? The guy that did everything bad all his life repented 5 minutes before he went to heaven. That's a game. So in the eyes of God, it doesn't matter if you're good or not. So I don't know why people even talk about God's morals. God, God's morals will not take you to heaven. God tells you, don't kill, don't steal. It's not going to make any difference if you go to heaven or not. Because to go to heaven, you have to accept his son as his only son and your savior. Nothing to do with being good or not. I find it interesting that I shared this thought with some believers, and they go, no. God will take in consideration your actions and what you think. I'm like, sure, you're changing the Bible. That's not what the Bible says. But let's just listen a little bit more about John Lennox, and then we stop it right there.
But then there's the other side, and that is this. The God explanation is not the same as the science explanation. Let me illustrate it very briefly, if I may. Why is the water boiling? Well, because heat energy from the gas burner is being conducted through the base of the kettle, agitating the molecules, and it's boiling. Okay? It's actually boiling because I'm desperate for a cup of tea. Now you're laughing. Now what does your laughter tell me? You see, it's a false apposition because both explanations are correct. Now think about that. This is very simple. I find kids can understand it, but many professors cannot. And I'll explain that in a moment. You see,
you know, what he's saying right there can get someone confused very easily. Both answers are good answers. Why the water is boiling? Because it's being heated and molecules are moving very fast and they're creating heat, and that's why the water gets hot. But the also good answer is that you're boiling water to make a tea. It depends which answer is good. I don't think both answers respond to the same question. Why the water boils, and why are you heating the water for? This is the kind of stuff that I don't understand from John Lennox, why he does these things, and present it like in a normal way, like if what he's saying is common sense, which I don't think it is.
See, the scientific explanation is telling you how it works. But I have also given a personal explanation in terms of human volition. I want a cup of tea. Now think about it. Which is the more important of those two? Well, people have been enjoying tea for thousands of years before they knew about equations of heat. Isn't that so? Those explanations don't conflict. They don't compete. They complement.
I'm going to stop it right there. Again, it's just like a little bit of a game. Both explanations compete, not exactly, sir, respectfully. It depends on the question. Why the water gets hot is not the same as why are you heating the water for? So he's going to expand and continue talking about something that in my point of view doesn't relate. But this is how I've noticed that John Lennox presents things in his presentations. So if you want to get a headache or probably not learn much about life, you're gonna waste a little bit of time listening to his presentations. It's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe you hear one of his long presentations and learn something. It has not been the case for me. Well, again, there's no one on the on the live streams. I appreciate anybody that have come to stop by, just listen for a minute. I know probably this is not the best, most attractive subject. I'm not trying to convince anybody that God doesn't exist. I'm not trying to convince anybody that any God doesn't exist. I just really would like to probably be provided with some piece of information that will make me think that there is something out there or someone out there. I just don't see it. So that is my point of view regarding God. If you get to see this live stream after it ends and is recorded, right now I'm doing live streams during the night just for a little bit of time. I don't think I'm going to be doing this for a long time. Sometimes I don't have much time to do these live streams. Sometimes I'm done doing the live streams and I go back to work. So if I have a little bit of free time, I like to do these live streams. And also, I see so many people lying about gods, any gods, that I want to do just the opposite and being honest and try to, I don't know, I think probably a very naive attempt to bring some sanity to humanity and to stop with these games and pretending that there's evidence of any God anywhere. For me, it's very hard to believe in a God and at the same time to be honest. It's very hard. Because when you believe in a God, at least when I believe in a God, you have to be very good at pretending. Very good. And I think that people that talk on YouTube about gods, they're very good at it. I think they have been lying and just making things up for such a long time that they get good at it. I think with the main purpose of just making money, talking about any God. Why? Because people, like a person that I know tells me, people have to believe in something, but at what cost? You know, okay, people have to believe in a God, you know, because otherwise they will have no meaning in life. Maybe that statement is true up to a point. Because when you start having conflicts between your belief in a particular God and your honest self, I think that's when a person starts to heat up from the inside out. Your belief in your particular God is fighting with your honesty. That's why I think that beliefs in God do not go together with being honest and transparent with yourself. If you have more conflicting thoughts that you think that probably the God that you believe in probably is not real, but you go outside and you go to church and you go to your friends and you keep talking about the God, my relationship with God, it takes a toll. It's like always carrying a big rock on your shoulder, pretending and pretending and pretending. It gets to a point that it gets way too heavy and you have to drop it. Just drop the pretending. Come on, stop it. This belief in this God is just way too heavy to be carrying around. So, if you get to listen to this live stream after it's recorded, if you're kind enough to guide me, to provide me with information about any God, if you can tell me, Javier, you know, you can see and hear X God by doing this, man, I would like to contemplate it. That'll be nice. But all the people that say that there's plenty of evidence of a God, you ask them, just give me just one. Not plenty, just one. Not two, not three, not four. You don't have to bother. Just give me one. I've been doing live streams for a few days, not for too long. And I keep asking if anybody out there has any proof of God, any God. Nobody presents any evidence. So that's why I think that it's not so important that a God is real or not. The most important thing about believing in any particular God is how you feel about the God that you believe in. So if the God is real or not, it doesn't matter. As long as you feel good with the God, hey, you wake up happy in the morning, your God, my relationship with God. Don't bother me. I don't care if the God is real or not. I don't need to provide any proof. I don't need any proof from anybody because I have faith. Right. Believing in God has nothing to do with believing in God. It has everything to do with your feelings, how you feel about the God, how you feel about yourself. Mostly you're going to find a common denominator between believers. Not everybody, okay? But mostly, in some level, emotionally, they're broken. Or there's an emptiness. They have not been able to fulfill down here. So they have to go to fantastic measures out there, the intergalactic God, in order to fill up a void inside. Oh, Jesus Live Podcast. How you doing? Thank you for your comment. That's an ingenuine, insincere approach. You are looking for one so that you slap it down when someone offers to spend time with you, helping you get all your questions answered. You responded. I'll give you 2-3 minutes. That's unchartable. Man, that's a tough word for me. Uncharitable. That's uncharitable. Insincere and ingenuine when someone is offering to spend hours with you and you say, well, actually you have 2-3 minutes. How do I approach this? Just because I have spent a lot of time with God, at church, in the Bible, and I have spent a lot of time away from these things. So I think what you could tell me that I have not heard before. If I tell you, for example, give me just 1 second. If I tell you, for example, that I have a pen in my left hand, okay? Check on this. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I tell you I have a pen right now, before you cannot see my hands, but trust me, believe me, have faith in me that I do have a pencil or a pen in one of my hands right now. What is the first question you are going to ask me? Please don't say that I am not a God. Come on. What is the first question that you're going to ask me? I'm telling you, I have a pen in my hand. You have to trust me. Right? Believe me. That'll be very nice. You can probably respond to my question if you have the time. I promise you, I have a pen in my hand right now, in one of my hands. What possible question could you ask me? Or you are just going to believe me with absolutely no evidence that I have a pen in my hand? And not only that, I can tell you that the pen is blue. Believe in me. You have to trust me. I want to gain your trust. Have faith in what I'm telling you. I have a pen in my hand right now. You know, probably I'm not gonna force you to ask me any questions, but if anybody tells me that they have a pen in their hand, they have a magic pen. It's a magical pen. If you, whatever it writes, it comes to reality. You want $1 million? I can write it down with this pen, and it comes true. Well, anybody will say, "Show me the pen. I want to see if what you're saying is true. Maybe this is a golden pen. Can you show it to me? Because you seem kind of suspicious that you're hiding something in your hands. But why just wouldn't you show the pen?" No, you know, this is not that easy. I have to sit down with you and explain where the pen comes from, where the pen gets its power from. I have to explain these things to you. Maybe I can spend a few hours. And you're like, "No, thank you. Just show me the pen." So if someone asks you for evidence of a God, well, just not present the evidence. Or you have to convince the person that there is evidence. Why just not show it? Someone asked me, "Hey, why not just show the pen? Don't play games." And again, I say, no. I have to sit down with you and explain to you where the pen comes from, how it works, why it does what it does, so you will believe that I have a pen in my hand. We don't need to go through that process. If there is God and there's evidence of a God, why would you need hours to explain to me that there is a God? And not also that. I have spent 25,000 hours, I don't know, listening to people saying they have evidence for a God. Never heard it. Saying that, if you want to believe in any particular God and that makes you happy and you can make other people happy with that information, who am I to tell you? In the case of my example of the pen, I tell someone, "Look, you see, this is a page that I wrote with the pen." The person's like, "Man, why just show me the pen? Why do you have to show me a piece of paper supposedly written with the pen?" You see, we can play these games. If there is an all-powerful God, undeniable, there's evidence everywhere. Why just not lift your hand and point to where the God is? I think the more time you spend with a person trying to convince them that there is a God, just then the necessity to spend more time to explain the person, I think shows that probably that God is not real. I said probably. I'm not saying that it's not real. Because in order to show such a powerful being, you don't need to explain. You don't have to convince anybody. Why wouldn't you? Why you in particular will have to talk to someone about a God? What makes you special? Do you know something that I don't know? Do you know this God personally? What special connection do you have with this God? Do you get any special favors for this God that you get to talk to me about this particular God? Do you have special powers? Does God provide you with special powers? Can you heal people? Can you heal their feelings? Never seen that, never experienced that. Even from people that say that, yeah, they can heal people. No, they don't. Limiting serious spiritual questions to a few minutes, especially when offered patience, personal help, suggests the goal isn't understanding, but instead reinforcement of pre-decided stance. Everything complex needs to have a body of evidence, an intersecting and interacting truth. That's how everything works. You know, I'm even willing to sit down with you. We can do it on camera. We can do it over the phone. It doesn't have to be on camera. I can call you via WhatsApp. Maybe we can have a conversation. I don't have to record it. I don't roll like that. Maybe I talk to you for a few hours, and next time I do a live stream, my face changes. And I'm like, yeah, I think I know God. Maybe I would like that. I'm not close. I can take your offer. You know, one of the things that people have the least in this life is time. If it's going to take a long time to explain to someone the complexity of a God, maybe we can ask God not to be so complex, because my salvation depends on it. Why so complex? And how come you understand it and I don't? When I have spent so many years reading the Bible at church, at the prayer group, the youth group, church. That's why I'm kind of curious. What are you going to tell me that I have not heard before? But I don't have a closed mind, so you just let me know. We can have a talk. It doesn't have to be through here. We can do it over the conversation here on a live stream with you on video or something, or we can do it outside of the live stream. And if you don't feel comfortable, of course, I don't have to record anything. And I can just provide, how you say, on my next live stream, I can provide, I can be honest and say, hey, you know what? I have been provided with proof of a God. I think I was being stupid and probably just too close-minded. But I talked to a gentleman with a user, Jesus Alive podcast, and he provided me with information that I think it at least guides me to the potential of a God. I'm willing to do that. So you just let me know how you would like to do it. I'm now kind of curious. Just hold on that idea. Why don't I understand it? That's what I will begin by speaking about. How could there be a misunderstanding when I spend years of my life in church? That's the real question. You know why Jesus Live podcast? You know why one of the reasons I am not able to understand it as other millions of people don't understand it? Because I don't think you're supposed to understand it. You're not even supposed to try to prove if the God of the Bible is real or not. Because at the end, it's just the person's feeling, how they feel about the God. No need to prove if it's real or not. That's why I think that's why it's called having faith, right? You don't need proof of a God. Feel good about the God. I think that's how I see it. But again, I'm willing to hear you. Maybe you can uncomplex my mind and tell me who God is, where is God, where can I talk to him, where can I see him. I don't play the game of me talking to God and not responding back. I don't like that. I don't also play the hide and seek God, not anymore. And so, yeah, you can let me know how can we have a conversation. I think if God is using you and God is right behind your words and your work, you have an opportunity here to convince someone or to let God work through you and have the opportunity to make wonders with me. I'll make a live stream next time. A total different person, a born again person for the second, third time, because I've been born again a few times. Get on my knees, accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, be happy for a few months and just go back to what am I doing? I made a live stream a few days ago where I talk about the God's divine Trinity. If you make a poll between Christians, you're going to find out the vast majority tell you that they don't understand the Trinity of God. God is just one in a three-person way, which is real one person, but it's real three. Nobody understands it. So I would like to hear a video from the many that I have heard that talk about the Trinity of God. The person don't even understand it. You can make of the Trinity of God whatever you want. Hey, so God is just one person? No, he's a three-person entity. So there's many gods? No, there's just one. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh, so those are three-person, yes, in a united way, because there's only one God. So Jesus, when came down to earth, he was God? No, him by himself cannot be God. He has to be the third person. Oh, so when he came down to earth, he was just a human being? No, because he's part of God. Jesus down earth is God on earth. Oh, so Jesus is God. No, he's not God. Remember that God is you can go around and around and around. You will not understand it. You're not supposed to understand it. You are just supposed to feel good that God is a three-person in a united way. I'll just do that Jesus Live podcast. You just let me know when you have a little bit of time. What is this? I have to make space for 2-3 hours to talk to you. Can you answer that question so I can just prepare my mind and my schedule to make time for this, sorry to say, a long ass call with you. But I am willing to have a conversation with you. I'm not planning on debating you about anything. Just to give you a heads up, if you tell me something that I have heard many times, I am not gonna go through hearing the same thing for the 130th time. Just to give you a heads up, Jesus Life, so you can know where I'm coming from, okay? I just told you that I spent a lot of time reading the Bible, studying the Bible, reading random Bible verses to the point that I can almost cite many verses of the Bible. I was so in depth in God and the Bible that I even spoke tongues. You know, the weird, this soul communication with God. Just to let you know, I witnessed the Holy Spirit in me. This person right here, I had a supernatural experience. Maybe when we talk, I can tell you about it. It's on a video that I explain how it happened. No explanation for it so far. And still, I have doubts about the God. So, I'll be very interested on what you have to tell me. I'll click on your user and send you an email and we can talk. Sounds like a plan? Maybe we can plan, I don't know, for any time soon. Just let me know when you have a chance. I don't know what part of the world you are. I'm in Panama in Central America. Right now it's 9:08 p.m. Again, I'll be happy to have a conversation. I will not stop you. I will not stop you. I'll probably just let you know that, you know, probably we can recite it at the same time. Yeah. I just don't want to make you waste your time. If you're going to tell me something that probably even myself, I used to tell other people, like I used to preach before. It could just happen that you're going to tell me something. Maybe from 10 things that you're going to tell me, probably one or two, not only I have heard them before, but probably I used to preach them myself when I was a believer, a blind believer in God. So probably I will not interrupt you. I will not stop you probably. I will just let you know, okay, yes, I know this and that. Just continue, because if you plan on taking this information to a specific place, you go ahead, you know. Just to let you know that. I think we're supposed to have a conversation, and I think you would like for me to really understand and internalize whatever you're going to tell me. You wouldn't want me to just be silent on the phone and just hear you talk for 2 hours. And probably you lost me at the first 5 minutes. You know, you wouldn't like me for me to do that. Again, guys, Jesus Life podcast. I've mentioned on my videos that I'm a very analytical person. You have heard me before, probably. I make software, I do robots, I do really complicated things. So I'm very analytical. I like to understand things. Probably you talk to me, I'm going to ask you 100 questions because I really like to understand. That goes a little bit against having faith. I don't like faith. Believing without evidence. Hey, Jesus Live podcast. I'm about to shut this down. I appreciate you always stop by. I appreciate it. You ask me questions. You offer. Thank you. That is kind of you. Yes, you just get the best opportunity to understand. That's all I want you to have, the very, very best opportunity, and then you decide. That's my goal. All right, deal, man. I'll click on your user and let me see. Yeah, I think I remember when I went to your channel. Yeah, I got it. Got it. I got your email. I'll send you an email and we talk. Sounds like a deal. Sounds like a plan. Let me just copy and paste your your email address so I can have it here. Got it. All right, thank you. Send you an email. Talk to you later. All right, I'm closing this live stream. If you get to hear this live stream after it's recorded, thank you for spending the time listening to me about my thoughts and my beliefs and my not beliefs. I'm Easter time zone also. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you and have an awesome day or night.